Hey, episode 91 of the Nashville Artist podcast is now out, featuring Billy, a talented singer-songwriter, sardine connoisseur, and horror film enthusiast. Billy embraces intentional improvisation in his music, creating space for spontaneity and leading to beautiful outcomes. His songs embody themes of hope, love, and comfort, inviting listeners to let go and embrace the moment. Billy has a unique approach to understanding music. He often backtracks through his favorite artists' influences to grasp the essence of their sound. Want to support Billy? Listen to his music, send him a DM, or chat with him in person. Don't be shy, he loves connecting with fans. He shares valuable advice for fellow artists. Show no fear, just do it. Don't worry about embarrassing yourself, focus on being a good hang and being considerate. Approach every opportunity, big or small, with attention and openness to others' messages. Remember, what you have to offer is more than enough. Billy draws inspiration from artists like Tyler the Creator, Nirvana, Kings of Leon, Leon Russell, Willie Nelson, and Emmylou Harris. His favorite films include Martyrs, Freaks, The Invisible Man, Dracula, Hereditary, Saw, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Inside. Enjoy the podcast episode. Awesome. So, what have you been up to today?
Woke up, made breakfast, took a shower, listened to a record, hung with my roommate.
Nice. What did you eat for breakfast?
Today I had 2 pieces of toast, 2 eggs, 2 pieces of sausage.
Wow.
Very symmetrical breakfast.
Nice.
That's what I had.
And what record did you listen to?
I listened to Nefertiti, Miles Davis record.
Nefertiti.
Yeah, I was pretty big into jazz in high school, and like one of my best friends growing up, John Bensinger, was really into like that late 60s, early 70s Miles Davis stuff, like after like the cool era, I guess. And I was just thinking about him today, so I listened to it. He did we had a class project where we were supposed to bring in a song that meant a lot to us for the class to listen to, and then we talked about why it meant a lot to us. And John was like ultimate class clown, like joker, and he brought in the song Nefertiti off that album, which is basically just like 12 minutes of a repeated melody over like a really slow like swing, and there's not really solos, it's just like a repeated melody that's like very droning and long. And it was kind of a bit like where he was like, I'm gonna make the whole class listen to this for 12 minutes. And you see the teacher like kind of start getting annoyed. And then when it's time to like talk about why it means a lot to him, he like delivers flawless like presentation, a flawless explanation. And it's like, man, you can't even be mad that he just like pranked us all. But yeah, I was just thinking about the homie today, so I listened to that record.
What's his name?
It's great. His name's John Bensinger. Shout out to John. Shout out to John. Yeah, it's also a great fall record. There's a song called Fall on it.
I need to.
You should check it out.
Making a fall playlist. So
yeah, I think Tony Williams drummed on it.
God,
Tony Williams, Ron Carter on bass.
Dude.
Lots of good.
Tony Williams' right hand is amazing.
Yeah. I believe he's a drummer. I might be wrong. somebody might
That
be in
would
the
make
comment,
sense.
like,
Uh,
it's that era of the Miles, like, quintets.
yeah, I don't know. I think this would have been after Max Roach.
Yeah, for sure.
So, because that was when he was doing more standard jazz, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was like, I think Nefertiti was 69, so I think it was like an album, maybe 2 albums before, like Bitches Brews, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the psychedelic jazz.
When it starts getting crazy, so he's already starting to experiment. It's a great record. It was a good listen.
Awesome. Did you listen to it on record?
I did not. I just
I got
plugged in the speakers.
Nice.
But it was a good cooking listen.
Yeah, I need to listen to more jazz or more Miles Davis.
Yeah, it's all good. Miles is kind of the king, I feel like.
Do you have a favorite jazz record?
Dude, I really love Herbie Hancock.
Oh.
I think he's my guy. And I mean, Headhunters is a classic. I really love Fat Albert Rotunda is a good one. Taken Off was like his early record, where he's like still like very like swing, like just straight ahead. I love that record. Probably something Herbie. He has another one. I think it's Sunlight is what it's called, and that's like a little more like funk. Great record. I would highly recommend that.
Nice. Are you also into like fusion, jazz fusion?
A little bit. I mean, I dabble.
Yeah.
Like
Mahavishnu Orchestra, or I mean, even Herbie Hancock is.
Yeah, I mean, he gets in there. I definitely would like not be the most like insane person to have a conversation about with it, but I definitely, and especially probably like the earlier fusion stuff. I'm a guitar player, so I mean like Pat Metheny and stuff, and like
Weather Report.
Yeah, Weather Report's awesome. So that's kind of where my fusion knowledge like stops a little bit.
I see.
Are you a big fusion guy?
I mean, I appreciate it. I'm getting more into it now than I've been in the past, I guess.
Sweet.
Just because I'm like studying different drummers and the way they play.
Cool.
From what I've heard, a lot of amazing, incredible drummers that play in genres that aren't fusion got their chops from playing fusion. So I'm like, I got to learn what they learn.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you got it. Toto had like all the like session like fusion
dude, Jeff
guys.
Beccaro
is
one of my favorite drummers, dude.
Like that did. Steve Gadd did Steely Dan stuff, but did he do Toto stuff as well? Or like Vinny Colaiuta?
Vinny Colaiuta didn't play. Vinny Colaiuta was like with Sting.
Sweet.
And who else? Like Jeff Beck and Frank Zappa, but Jeff Beccaro
was Toto,
and some other bands. I mean, he played on a lot of hits, but his groove is just undeniable.
Dude, undeniable.
As soon as he hits the drum, even
Rosanna?
if it's like one note, it's like, good God.
Yeah, dude, I'm with that.
And he hits really hard. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like for playing like a lot of pop or funk or whatever, it's just like, man, he lets everyone know the snare drum's been
Dude, totally agree. I feel like the story of Toto is almost what it's all about.
Well, they're all studio musicians.
Yeah, and
they were all like the hired gun for other bands, and they're like, why don't we come together and make our own?
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's why it's called Toto, like, and because it's a total of supposed to be like all different genres mixing.
Yeah, dude, that's sweet. Yeah, who's your favorite drummer? Dana Carey?
That's a good question. I would say my top 3 to 5 are like Danny Carey, Travis Barker, Stuart Copeland,
cool,
Jeff Beccaro. Let's see, maybe Vinny Colaiuta, or let's see, Bill Bruford, probably of King Crimson.
Well, I've not really dove into King Crimson that much, but
it's like progressive rock.
Cool,
like kind of like Yes.
Sweet.
But those drummers, I would say, are really cool. Or like Trilok Gurtu is a drummer who has a very unorthodox way of playing. He'll kneel down and only use 3 limbs. So he'll kneel on one leg, and uses either right foot or left foot to
Whoa.
control. He doesn't play with all 4 limbs at once.
Wow.
I don't know why, but
it's like Def Leppard.
Yeah, but it's like an intentional. Like,
yeah.
When he plays the drum set, he like kneels down like this and plays like this,
Whoa.
or he'll go like this and play.
Does he sit on a throne or?
No, he sits on his knee like
no
that.
Way.
It's really weird, but
that's super cool.
He comes up with really awesome things because he's from India, so he a lot of the Indian rhythms he plays through on a drum set.
Dude, no
so
way.
It's like really trippy. And
this is King Crimson?
No, this is Triolak Gertu.
Okay.
He's like, just I don't know. He plays with a lot of different people, but very much his own kind of. He can play by himself, and it sounds like a whole ordeal. You know what I mean?
Dude, I will check that out.
Maybe.
I do not drum at all, but I'm very interested in the art form.
Awesome. Well, we'll get started here.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nashville Artist. I'm Jordan, and today Billy is here. Thank you for coming over and doing this.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm excited.
So, where are you from?
I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. It's like a little town called Bluff Park inside of Hoover. I would just say Hoover, Birmingham. It's like everybody, there's like surrounding cities, with every major city that everybody just resorts to Birmingham.
I see.
So I'm from Birmingham. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a twin sister, and I have a younger sister who's 16. Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm 23, 24, about to be 24. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are they also into music and art and stuff?
Yes, but less so. My sister is a fiddle player. And when we were growing up, she played a bunch, and I played with her. And then my little sister, she plays piano, she sings. She dabbles in songwriting. I wish she would do it more because she comes up with really cool stuff, but she's just in high school and still trying to figure out what she wants. So
right.
But yeah, both my siblings are awesome.
Awesome. What are their names?
Anna is my twin.
Okay.
Anna and Molly is my younger sister.
Molly. Nice. What about your parents? Are they also into music and art?
They're both appreciators, definitely. My dad was a drummer throughout high school. And he drummed a lot when I was younger. And that I definitely was a kickstart for me, thinking that drumming is cool. And he had the full on Pearl, kind of guess the Neil Peart style kit. He had the double kick drums and the little thing, and because that was he got it in the 80s or whenever when he was in high school, so he just that was the style, I guess, the full on
right
cage of a drum set.
Right.
But yeah, he would we had a basement, and he would be drumming down there, and I would just go sit and watch and listen to him drum along to records and stuff. But he doesn't drum as much anymore.
Oh, really?
Just does every now and then. I want him to come sit in and drum with my band some. I think that would be so cool, but he's I gotta work up my chops. I gotta get better.
Yeah.
I'm just do it. Just come hang out. But yeah, my dad definitely is musical for sure.
What are their names?
His name is Yuri, and my mom's name is Angela.
Yuri.
Yeah, Yuri. Yuri he was named after, which I've never seen the movie, but he's named after the movie Dr. Zhivago.
Okay.
I guess there's a character, Yuri Zhivago, in the movie. He was named after that. So, yeah, cool stuff. That's his middle name. His first name is William. My first name is William.
Are you a junior?
I mean, technically I'm a third or fourth, I think. It's my dad's name is William. My dad's dad is William, I believe. And it's none of us go by William. My dad goes by his middle name, Yuri. My granddad went by his middle name, Floyd. I go by Billy, which is just like a nickname that people gave me. So
Nice.
it's kind of weird. Like none of us really go by our name, but we're all William in heart, in spirit, you know.
Billy's a good one. Like,
Yeah.
instead of going by Bill or William, Billy's like, hey,
Billy.
it's a Billy.
Yeah, it's definitely like just come about through me being a person and alive. My parents and like my dad would call me Billy as like fun, and then my friends, John, my friends Will, and like people who would just come hang out like over childhood would hear them call me that and be like, oh, we're gonna start calling you Billy, and then it kind of whirlwinded. And when I went to college, I was like, am I gonna be Billy or am I gonna be William? Because all my close friends called me Billy already.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I just want to open myself up. Everybody's my close friend now, so we'll just rock with the Billy.
Nice. When did you add the exclamation mark?
I added the exclamation part just at like as a thing for my artist project. Like when I started releasing music, I was like, what is my name gonna be? And then my name is Billy, and I just wanted people to be excited about it. So like, let's go, Billy. Yeah, I wanted the hype around me.
Billy.
So it's kind of, whether you like it or not, you got to be hype about it when you read the name, you know.
Billy. Yeah.
Billy, like
Billy.
get pumped, you know.
Hell yeah. So what were you into as a little kid?
I've always been into music. I was into baseball as a little kid. I was into being outside. You know, just fun stuff like that. I played sports a lot as a kid, playing with my twin sister. We would get into stuff like, yeah, I was into most like normal kid things, I feel like, but music has always been like kind of the main like thing that I've loved.
Oh yeah. What first got you into music and art?
Yeah, kind of like I said, my dad would be drumming around the house. My dad was always playing like really, really great records. My dad was big into Rush when I was growing up. And my dad was big into like just some classic like country Willie Nelson stuff. And he was always playing something new. My dad, something that like I definitely have inherited is my dad is like never really full on music. He's always like trying to find something new that gets him excited. And so he was always like, I remember when, I was barely even conscious, but like Radiohead was coming out with like Kid A and like other stuff around that time, like early 2000s, and my dad was like picking up copies, like trying to figure out what it was. And so like I very much like grew up with the times and also like with whatever like was just classic for him and like around the house. So that's something that's been very cool for me to like try to keep going. I love finding new music and just like crate digging virtually or crate digging in real life and figuring out what's dope.
How do you go about finding new music now? Like, do you just like artists of artists?
Artists, yeah. So yeah, I'm a big backtracker with like figuring out people's influences and stuff. So like, I guess like early memories of that was I was really into Nirvana as a kid. That was like the coolest thing ever to me. And me and my friends that I mentioned earlier, Will and John, like would get together in middle school and just have sleepovers all night and play Nirvana songs and like put on the record and like play it front to back together. And like that kind of got me started in like, okay, who were bands like around this time frame? So then you get like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, like Foo Fighters.
Mother Love Bone.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then I from there was like, okay, what is Nirvana influenced by? And so I found like bands like Sonic Youth, like Wipers, found a lot of cool punk music from that. And even like Daniel Johnston, Kurt Cobain's known for like the "Hi, how are you" T-shirt that he wore all the time. So that, I mean, is like the most natural way to find music for me, is just fall in love with like one artist and then really kind of like spread out. And especially in high school, like me and my like two closest friends were really into, we would like get into an artist and then we would all separately do our own research and then come back and be like, but have you heard this? And then put each other on. And it's just like kind of like a web of connecting all these cool bands and projects and like how they interpret each other almost. It's a fun game. But I mean, now, like, I mean, friend recommendations is still big. Honestly, going to a record store and like picking up something that I think the cover looks cool. Or, I mean, Spotify is really good at just showing you stuff you might like. Like that, as lame as that is, they rock. The algorithm is kind of like always pushing you something new where you're like, okay, they got me. Like they got me pegged. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So did you play music in school or anything? Or how did you initially start out?
Yeah, I mean, I started out initially, my twin sister was a fiddle player.
Oh yeah.
And I played guitar, so I mean my earliest doses of music was kind of just playing with her and playing like classic fiddle tunes. And she used to go around to like these contests, like these fiddle contests around the South, and like we would just play like a classic old time fiddle song, and I would just strum the chords or something. And that was kind of my kick into the music world. I think just falling in love with actually playing. Then it graduated to like me and my friends playing punk songs in the basement as like a 3-piece, just sounding terrible. I'm sure probably driving the parents crazy, just like full volume blasting. And then I like in middle school, I kind of started getting into jazz like 8th grade and then 9th grade in 10th grade. And that was like kind of a spiral thing for me for a while where I was just really I was in like my high school's jazz band. And me and my friend John especially got like really hooked on jazz and just playing jazz together and gigging around town doing that. So those are kind of my like earliest like performance, like just playing, really getting into the performance aspects of music.
Cool. What during that period, other than like Nirvana, what other bands were like, wow, they're really cool, I want to be like them?
During like middle school period?
Yeah, or like when you started playing guitar more.
So my like John and Will, my two best friends, Will was really into Pearl Jam. That was like his favorite band. And we all kind of had like our separate favorite of like the big grunge bands. I mean Nirvana was mine. I really loved Sonic Youth is like still a huge like band for me. I loved I loved a bunch of random stuff. I had like Slipknot phases, like I mean secret Slipknot phases. I was really also in like a big like Odd Future kid growing up.
Okay.
So I like loved Tyler the Creator, Earl Sweatshirt, like Frank Ocean, Mike G, all like the Odd Future affiliated stuff, and that was probably around like 8th grade for me as well. Just like finding hip hop music as well, and like getting really into that. I was really kind of a mixed bag into what I listened to. We were also really, I mean, all three of us were really into Led Zeppelin and Rush, and like it was like that's like your classic, like huge into Led Zeppelin, Rush, huge into the Rolling Stones, the Beatles. Like we're really into them. We're really into Steely Dan. It's just like whatever we could get our hands on and like kind of steal from our parents' album collection or like find. I was growing up earlier than middle school. I was really into Kiss.
Oh yeah, nice.
I was like, my dad like got me a copy of Kiss Alive 2 on CD, and I had like a little CD player by my bed. And it was probably like second grade, third grade. I listened to Kiss Alive 2 without fail every single night for like probably 2 years. And I would just put it on and listen to it while I fell asleep.
While you went to sleep.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's like, yeah, Detroit Rock City is the opening track where it's just like, like but I don't know. I think I secretly kind of convinced myself it would like make me a rock star when I got older or something. So it was like kind of my ritual.
Yeah.
Where I just listened to that every night and would like dream of playing the stages or something. I don't know. Me and my friend John, like we had a night where this was probably seventh grade. We were kids, and we did this multiple times, like throughout our growing up together, and like even like in college, like we would hang out and do this. But we would get like all of our combined Rush posters and records and everything, and lay them out on the floor and like look at their pictures and like get our like books and everything and look at their pictures and turn out all the lights and light a bunch of candles, like like a ceremony almost. And Rush like has this, I guess it's a story. That's the best way I know how to describe it, but it's called Cygnus X1, and like the first book of the story is on their album, Farewell to Kings, and the second one is on Hemispheres. So we would, and it's like an epic. Like the first one is like 12 minutes, and the second one is like 20 minutes. And we would just sit there in the dark and not talk and just look at the pictures of the members of Rush and listen to the whole like probably like 45-minute story of this like epic battle that that they had going on. And we did that like as kids, and we just like always kind of, it became kind of a bit where we were like, we should do the Rush ritual or something where we just hang out. It was mostly just about like listening to the music, but it felt kind of funny to like spread it all out and be like, dude, like Alex Lifeson is so cool. Like Neil Peart is so cool. And Neil Peart's cool because he's an amazing drummer, but also wrote the lyrics.
Yeah, he wrote the lyrics.
And, like,
he's obsessed with Ayn Rand.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. But I have had many different phases of just like, I like literally everything and love exploring music, and that's super powerful to me.
Awesome. So why would you say you're drawn to music and art?
I think it's just really like, why am I drawn to it as a consumer, or why am I drawn to it as a
Both
performer? I think both would be just like the sense of release it gives me. I love listening to a song that's relatable and tells me what I need to hear. I also love like the release writing gives me, where I can be a little too honest with myself at times and tell myself what I need to hear from me. I also just, yeah, it's very, very much an expression thing for me, and it's less about like the sonic beauty of what music is, and it's mostly just about the emotional connection for me, which I love beautiful sounding music, and I think that's a part of the emotional thing, but also like sometimes like what you're going through or what you're feeling probably would sound ugly. I think there's room for everything. And I love that music really doesn't like discriminate. Like it just is an all encompassing, like this is a way to like tell your story and anybody can use it. Like even whether or not they are a musician, you can sit at a piano or do something and spread your message, I guess. I don't know. Everybody has their own voice.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Awesome. Do you have like, how do you develop your artistic skills now? Do you have routines for practicing or writing?
I try to write every day. But I kind of do that out of necessity, not out of like force. But I try to, and even when it's not music, I try to express myself creatively every day, whether it's just like drawing something silly or making something silly. I but yeah, I mean it's very much a part of my like ingrained routine that I don't really have to force myself to like you have to write today to get better. Like I or you have to like play your guitar today to become the greatest guitarist the world's ever seen. Like I think that I just like have graduated to a mindset of doing it out of necessity, I think, which is helpful for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. Of all time, who are your favorite artists?
Of all time, I think my first answer is always Tyler the Creator. I mean I grew up with that being like a huge like influence for me. And I mean I don't make any type of music that sounds like his, but I think just like growing up in the era of when he was like becoming popular and like all of the Odd Future stuff was just like a really like impactful thing for me to see like young kids just literally doing what they did on a daily basis and becoming kind of popular for it was really cool. And it was also hopeful just to see like you can be yourself and still make it happen as a career. So Tyler the Creator is probably my favorite artist. I don't, I don't, I mean Nirvana, as we talked about. I love Nirvana. I'm a huge, I'm a huge Kings of Leon fan. I love Kings of Leon. I love Leon Russell. Leon Russell is a huge, like my dad really like played him a lot growing up, and that's like something that ingrained in me for a long time. And he's also like a session goat as well, and just like wrote a bunch of hit songs for other people and like put together amazing bands for other artists. So I like kind of how under the radar he flies as far as like he's a genius and people don't ever say like he's my favorite artist.
Yeah.
But I love Leon Russell, love Willie Nelson, Emmylou Harris, like classic country people. Yeah, I mean Herbie Hancock, Thelonious Monk, jazz artists I love. Um, that's a really, if I had to narrow it down to one, it'd probably be Tyler the Creator though, as far as just like sonically and culturally and just like personal. I'll never get tired of some of his records. I still come back to them even from like when I was a kid. Like I'll still put on Wolf and listen to Wolf and it feels good. Um,
Nice. What is your favorite Tyler Creator record?
um, I think Flower Boy is my favorite one. I just like, I was a fan of his before that came out. And I feel like when that one came out, it was a really, almost like a slap in the face for me to see like how an artist evolves and graduates to like a certain level of maturity, which I mean, I felt like I always was a fan of Tyler the Creator, and like up until that point, I didn't have a problem with anything he put out. I just thought he was the sickest. And when he put that record out, I remember listening to it and it being like the first artist I'd followed on their like artistic journey, and hearing an album and being like, whoa, this is like a completely different like sound and intention. So I think as far as, and I just like immediately like went to the record store and bought it on CD and bought it on vinyl and was just like very, very into it at that time. So I think that, and that's cool for me because it wasn't like I discovered something new, like it was somebody I'd been a fan of, but it is really cool to like have an artist you love touch you in like such a new way, like almost as if they're a new artist. So I just have great memories with that record, and I still do. Like I'll still play it. Dude, I like a lot of his albums. I mean, I even like the early stuff, as even though it's not as like politically correct now, like he says some crazy stuff, but I just think like I liked it when I was a kid, so I still kind of feel like it's cool.
His music can be very raw.
Yeah, he just like says whatever, which is not the type of artist I am, and not the type of like person I resonate with. But I think it was, I guess, just like my rebellious spirit as a kid, like listening to that, knowing that my parents would be pissed if they heard me listening to that. And yeah, I guess that's just fun when you're a kid and you hear something and you're like,
I'm not supposed to be listening to
dude,
this.
I know. There was a kid at church when I was, I guess, like fifth, sixth grade, who had a Slipknot shirt on, and he told me about Slipknot around that age. And I like went home and listened, and I was like, dude, I feel like I could get in trouble for listening to this, but it's so cool. And even not at bands as heavy as that, like John Bensinger, who I've talked about, his older brother Ryan went to see 21 Pilots and the 1975 when we were like in sixth grade, like right when the 1975's like debut album came out. And he came home from that concert, and me and John, I remember we were like sitting in his parents' basement playing Call of Duty or something, and he gets home super late, and he's like, guys, I have to show you this song. And he shows us the song Sex by the 1975. And our like young minds were just blown to smithereens. Like, there's a song called Sex on this album. And like listening to stuff like that like you feel kind of like, dude, I don't know if I should listen to this. But yeah,
It's like playing GTA for the first time.
Yeah, and you're like, dude, I'm shooting people. You're like, I'm running over somebody right now, stealing their car. Yeah, I feel like we all turned out all right. So it's cool, but it's
human nature.
It's human nature to like look at that.
It's just like,
and I'm a big horror movie fan.
I was gonna say, horror movies. Yeah, you can go down really deep holes.
Dude, I'm a massive. That's something me and Joseph bond over very, very heavily, where it's like at least once a week we kind of like try to get together and watch something new. But
He mentioned that when I interviewed him.
Oh, really?
He's like, yeah, my friend Billy and I watch really messed up movies. And I was like, movies like what? And he's like, well, we watched this movie called Martyrs. I was like, oh shit.
Oh, dude, yeah, we did.
It was really messed up. I haven't seen it, but I know about it.
It is messed up. I love Martyrs personally. Really? I think it's like beautifully done. It's definitely very gory and like a lot to handle, but like there are certain scenes in it that are just like so emotionally raw that I feel like are very powerful. And I love horror movies, but I don't love them for just like I want to see blood and guts. Like I really appreciate when a movie uses those things to like really like, you know, continue like the narrative or like
move you.
Yeah. And it I feel like Martyrs does that well, where it's like, sure, there's a lot of death and destruction, but it doesn't go to waste. Like it's all very intentional and used to like move the plot forward. Yeah, that it is a messed up movie though, for sure. It's a hard watch, and I've seen it like a bunch of times.
Oh, really?
So it still gets me where I'm having to cover my eyes at certain parts. They're just like hard watches. You know, you get the chill bumps up your arms. And me and Joseph don't like. Yeah, we watch messed up movies, but we don't seek out movies because they're messed up. Like we're always just trying to find a good movie at the source of it. And I mean, I love horror movies in the sense like I recently have been rewatching like a bunch of the old classics that like I watched with my dad and stuff. So like watched Freaks recently, like this 30s. It's like a carnival horror movie. And it's not even really a horror movie. I think it's just because it was shocking in the 30s, they have labeled it as a horror movie. I watched The Invisible Man with my roommate Connor. Like watched Dracula recently, just the classic, like Bela Lugosi. So I mean, I just like the creepy spirit of things. It doesn't have to be like, holy crap, this is disturbing, I can't sleep. But also I like that as well.
What are some of your favorite horror movies?
Definitely, I do love Martyrs. I love Hereditary too. I feel like that's a classic. I love the original Saw movie.
Oh yeah.
And me and my roommate Connor have actually like been going through and watching all of them because I showed him the first one.
Yeah.
And the first one is like brilliant to me, but I mean the rest of them are kind of like, oh, okay, cash grab. We're on movie 8, and it's the same story, but the first one is insanely well done. I love Texas Chainsaw. I love, along like the Martyrs lines, there's this movie called Inside that's a part of like the French extremity like movement, which was just like very gory and like shocking in France, and that's like what Martyrs is a part of. But this movie Inside is insanely scary. Just like a little, to put it lightly, home invasion like movie that's just like so scary, like makes you want to triple lock your doors, you know. Yeah, I mean,
I might have to check it out.
You should check.
Is it as intense as Martyrs?
It is. Yes. Yeah, it is. It definitely, from a gore perspective, it's also a lot scarier than Martyrs from like this could really happen to somebody. Like,
wow.
And it's really well done, where it's just like one of those movies that's scary and like all the boys are cuddled up on a couch together, like giggling, squealing. Like I showed Joseph that movie, and he like was like, hugging on to me, like screaming, like just some good jump scare moments. It's like a fun watch.
Dang. I might check it out.
Dude.
I know about Martyrs. I've seen like the trailer, but I'm like, I don't know if I can bring myself to watch this.
Are you a big horror movie fan?
I mean, yeah, I've seen Hereditary. What do you think is more intense, Hereditary or Martyrs?
Martyrs is like leagues above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah.
If you don't like gore, like I wouldn't recommend Martyrs because it is very like gory, lots of blood and guts and stuff.
Yeah. Have you seen Cannibal Holocaust?
I have seen it. Is it
as intense as I've never seen that, but
it is not as intense.
As Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, or it is. It's more intense.
Cannibal Holocaust more intense than Martyrs.
No, I would say Martyrs is more intense. Cannibal. Have you seen Cannibal Holocaust?
No.
Cannibal Holocaust to me is and I haven't watched it since like high school, but I remember watching it and like wondering, why is this such a big, like, this is a bad movie? Because it's done in like the 70s or something, and it doesn't look
really
real.
I think it was because the animal rights people.
Yeah, there are scenes where they're like really like cutting up animals and stuff that I think people like. I mean, they shouldn't have cut up animals. That's a terrible thing just for a movie. Like, it's definitely like, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend Cannibal Holocaust as even like a good movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of like whatever. And then they like cut up animals and you're like, okay, this is gross and it doesn't serve the plot at all. So it's just like dumb.
Damn.
But Martyrs is like well done and cool.
I've had people say it's a really good movie, but
Cannibal Holocaust?
No, Martyrs.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
And they say like, but I'm just like, I'd have to prepare myself.
Yeah, you gotta get in the headspace for sure.
I love true crime and stuff like that.
Okay.
And like learning about crazy shit like that.
But you don't have to like see it happen.
Yeah, I mean maybe. Yeah, it's just I think the psychological aspects of it are really thrilling because of human behavior. You know what I mean, like what drives someone to do this.
Yeah,
I think that is really fascinating. But I think a lot of those things get brought out in those types of movies. Mm-hmm. Like one of the hardest movies I've ever seen is Requiem for a Dream. Oh yes, God, that movie's rough,
dude. That is a hard watch. That definitely, and it's so like, I like have a friend who's like dealt with like addiction like that, and he has told me like that it's a very like accurate like internal look in what it kind of feels like. That is a rough one to watch.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, cool. We'll probably talk more about movies, books, and everything a little later. But I got some other questions for you.
Sweet.
Can you describe like your creative process?
Yeah, I mean, as far as songs, I'm just your classic like sit down with the guitar, pen and pad, voice memo, notes app, like, and I just kind of give myself some solitude and really try to internalize what I'm feeling and just like spill it out.
What about like your live band?
Yeah, my live band, I'm very particular about like what I want my live band to sound like for sure. But I'm also very spontaneous with it, and I have great players in my live band, and I've played with a bunch of great players. My friend Justin Blanner, he plays guitar. He's a great songwriter. Joseph plays in my live band. I have my friend Reese Kobe-Lars, my friend Leighton Weber. I've had a bunch of different iterations. Chris Peranich has played in my live band. Maddie Kerr has played in my live band before. Like some all of these people who I just like consider to be like wonderfully like brilliant minds in their own right. And I, just because my project is called Billy and I am Billy, I don't ever want my live band to feel like it's about me. And I love showcasing like my friends' talents. So I'm very spontaneous with like how we do that. And I just love to have fun. That's kind of what it boils down to with the live stuff. I love to have fun, but also give my songs like a really intentional but new sound for the performances. Because I personally don't really like going to a live show and seeing a band play it straight off the record. So I always try to change it up to something new. Like, I have a song Big Star that's out like on the EP. It's like a 3-minute song. And we'll like rock a version live where we'll like do an a cappella vocal intro, or we'll like have my friend Justin on guitar will take a solo and we'll just jam on it for like 10 minutes. And it's not really like a jam band at all. Like, as much as I love that sound, like I wouldn't consider it a jam band. I think it's just like, I personally feel when people are talented, man, show it off. Like you really got to. And it doesn't really matter like what position you're playing. You know, I let the drummers get some, I let the bass players get some. Like, we're all just kind of having fun together. Um, and that might be kind of a selfish approach, as far as just like we love performing and we love playing together, and like we're not fully thinking about the audience. But I think that attitude almost like makes it more enjoyable for the audience, because I feel like every show that my band plays, the number one comment is like, y'all just have so much fun together and it's a joy to watch, because we're just up there like really, really locking in. But yeah, that my creative process as far as like the live stuff is very much just like, let's get the song and then figure out how we're gonna have some fun with it too. And everybody's really like creatively involved as far as the live group goes. It's not just like with the records. I'm very like, okay, I'm a little more straight about what I want. And I still am to an extent with the live stuff, but we're definitely jamming a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More improv.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I grew up in Alabama and like love country music and love Southern rock, and I'm a guitar player. Dwayne Allman is my favorite guitar player from the Allman Brothers. And we like, whenever we can, my band likes to do like double drum kits. Like, it's hard to do that when you're supporting somebody at like the end or like somewhere and you can't bring 2 drum sets. But we've had some like house shows or like headline stuff where my friend Joseph and my friend Rick West will like have 2 drum kits, and then we'll like, my friend Reese does like auxiliary percussion, like congas and like bongos, and he plays flute, and we just like have fun with it. Try to give people a show.
Is the 2 drum sets, are they both drummers playing the same thing, or is it like?
They play off each other for sure. I mean, they definitely are like playing the song and like definitely playing the same thing at parts. But it's definitely like a very spontaneous, free feeling thing, which, I mean, I think that it works really well. It gives it a little more like jangle, you know, like a chorus effect almost.
Yeah.
It's a real cool sound. And I wish I could do it like every show, you know, but it's a hard thing to make happen. But Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to see like two just like brilliant drummers kind of like play off each other, and they're looking at each other the whole show like, what are we gonna do? like, and yeah, it's a fun time for sure.
Awesome. Do you have a dream venue you'd like to play?
I mean, the Ryman, I would love to play the Ryman. Red Rocks, would love to play Red Rocks. I mean, playing at Bonnaroo would be sick. That's not really a venue, but
Yeah.
I've made a lifelong pact, like ever since I was a kid, that I'm not gonna go to Bonnaroo unless I'm playing. So haven't been to Bonnaroo yet, but I'm waiting, and I know it'll happen. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of my big ones. There's some like local venues, like I would love to play like Iron City in Birmingham is a really kind of like one of the places where I grew up seeing a lot of cool shows. We played the Saturn in Birmingham last week, which was another, or it's just called Saturn, but another place where I like grew up seeing a lot of great shows. So it's cool to like kind of get to play places where you're like, man, I've been here. I was playing with this band called Mercury for a while, and we played at the Fillmore West in San Francisco,
Wow.
which is like legendary, like owned by the Grateful Dead for, I mean, that's where all the great like live Dead concerts come from. And like you walk in and there's just posters on posters of legendary bands, like going all the way back to like Fleetwood Mac, Led Zeppelin, like
Wow.
live at the Fillmore West, like it. So that was a really cool like bucket list one for me. But yeah, I mean, I just want to play it anywhere and everywhere too. I don't
Definitely.
really care.
What are some important things to consider when you write a song?
I think there's definitely the lyrics, the melody, the harmony. I think that I really like to consider like the sonic aspects outside of the lyrics and how those are like conveying the emotion just as much as the lyrics are. Like I really like, I guess this is kind of prog of me, but I do like playing with time signatures in my songs and like figuring out, because I think that's a really cool tool that nobody really utilizes in like indie music or kind of like alternative music, that can make you feel like the anxiety certain lyrics can't. Like I can say I'm sad, I'm anxious in a song, but it doesn't feel as real as like maybe shifting, displacing like beats or and stuff that almost can like make the listener be like, why do I feel like I can't even move to this song? Like stuff like that is something that I like to try to implement in my songwriting. I love sounds. I love distortion and noise and craziness. Like I said, I'm a big Sonic Youth fan and like a fan of all that like noisy sounding, garagey sounding stuff where it's just like sometimes like you just need to express yourself that way and just like let it all ring out. So yeah, that's what I like to consider just a big like how can I sonically express myself and not just like fully focus on the lyrics that I'm singing. Because I mean, 9 times out of 10, that's more powerful than just saying what you feel.
Right.
But lyrics are also very important, and I try to like hone in on those too. I'm not really like an editor or like a rewriter. I kind of am a one sitting lyric guy where it's just like, this is what I said. And I try not to read into it that much. But sonically, I'm definitely a little more like intentional and like trying to convey my emotions a little more honestly and pure.
Yeah.
Because lyrically, I mean, like to get your honesty, you kind of just say it, and that's honest. That from my perspective. So I try not to like edit as much as I might want to sometimes.
Because it takes away the instantaneous feeling
Yeah.
that you get.
Yeah, I think like a lot of the times, like when I'm just saying something, it's not like talking where if I'm writing it down and looking at it and like working on a song, like after that first day, it's like, well, that's how I felt that day, you know? Like I can sit here and say something to you that I regret saying and probably will watch this back and be like, oh man, like I sounded like a complete dork. But like with a song, it's especially when you're by yourself and just like in really like deep in solitude and in your own like heart and mind, you kind of naturally just find the honesty and like the genuineness I've found. Um, so I try not to think super hard about whether or not I'm being honest. I just kind of like go for it,
Right.
which is creepy. It like will freak you out sometimes, but
You're like, I can't believe I'm disclosing all that.
yeah, I know. Like I'll listen back to something I've written at times, and I'm like, dude, are you sure about saying this? But
That's good.
you got to
Push the envelope.
yeah, push it.
So, what would you say inspires your creativity?
Friends, hanging out, nature, life. I love seeing people be happy. I don't love seeing people be sad, but sometimes they can be inspiring or influential.
Yeah.
I just I'm really mostly probably inspired by my friends and my family and relationships and community, which Nashville harbors really well. So I'm definitely excited and lucky to be here. I'm inspired by a million things: food, uh, seasons. Yeah.
Nice. What would you say your songs represent?
What would they represent? Hopefully they represent hope for people. I would like to think that they represent a little bit of spontaneity, and like the idea that like letting go and release is valuable. I hope they're like portray love in a good way, and like make people feel comfort. But as far as like what they represent, it's also like a song to song basis. You know, some songs are sad, some songs are happy, some songs are like angsty. It's just like and I also really kind of try to leave that a little, you know, up to the listener's interpretation, because I don't feel like as a songwriter it's my job to place a definition on the song. I think that I can express myself and I can share it, and that's about where it stops with me. I think everything else is like really an interpretation, which is a huge reason why I love music, because it is so interpretive and people really can like get what they need out of something. And I'll have people come up to me and be like, this song like helped me with this, and in my brain I'm like, well, that's not what the song's about, but it doesn't matter because it was helpful. So yeah, I mean, it just really depends who you are and how you perceive it and how you feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. How would you best describe the type of artist you are?
Um, yeah, like I've been saying, I'm a spontaneous one. I'm also an intentional one. Um, I'm a fun one. I love to have fun. I love to push the envelope, as you said. I love a good old college try and experiment. um, yeah, I'm also just like a rock artist. Like I make rock music. I make country, folky sounding rock music. Um, I feel like I don't have to like sugarcoat it that much. It's just like, yeah, that's the type of artist I am by definition. But yeah, I love experimentation. I love spontaneity. I love having fun. Um, I also just love being real with myself, and I feel like art is like one of the few places that I can be and feel comfortable. Where like if I'm just by myself, like talking to myself or even writing in my journal, it's a little harder for me to be straight up, because I just get like uncomfortable. But I think that art is really my place where I can let it all fly and not think about the repercussions and not think about, which I'm not like saying anything outlandish
Sure.
or crazy, but I don't have to think about maybe the embarrassment is what I'm trying to get at. You know, I can just really be vulnerable and show people who I am. I'm an autobiographical artist. I guess that's another.
Yeah.
let people know what I'm about.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite time of day you like to create?
Man, I love the nighttime. Honestly,
Nighttime.
I love the nighttime. I love being outside. I love creating outside while it's raining. Like if I can find a little porch or something to sit on. I love that. Um, also love the morning too. I feel like middle of the day, like afternoon is dead zone for creativity with me. Um, I love the nighttime, and it's not really late at night, but like I just love a little post dinner, like thoughts are flowing, nothing to do tonight. Just sit in the room and write something or draw something or hang out.
I feel like that's tends to be one of the most natural because that's typically when you would be performing that kind of music or that stuff would be at night.
Definitely.
I'm kind of like that too. I'd say the peak of my practice gets at like I top off at nighttime.
Yeah.
I might practice during the day, but then at night is when it peaks.
Yeah. Well, and during the day, like doing stuff can sometimes feel like a check on the box or like a chore on your to-do list.
Right.
When at nighttime, it's always mostly about like my day is over. What do I enjoy? What do I want to do to relax me?
Nice.
So, love a good nighttime create session.
Awesome. So I saw that you had our vinyl session. How did that come about?
One of my friends that I went to college with, named Sam Salisbury, works for our vinyl and just like does like artist relations stuff with them, and he reached out to me, and yeah, really kind of him, and just asked if I wanted to participate in that, and I said yes, and we did it, and it was a blast. It was it was just like one all day shoot, where we just ran 4 songs like over and over. It was it was my friend Soren Burkham on drums, my friend Justin Blanner played guitar, my friend Matty Kerr played bass, Chris Peranich played the baritone guitar. And we were all kind of there that day and kind of feeling under the weather. Like I took like some Mucinex or something because my my throat was all like gunked up and I needed to sing for the video. I was like gonna go on my Spotify and on YouTube. So I was like, dang, this is like a live record right now. I gotta be in tip top. And we had like all kind of taken some like NyQuil, Dayquil, and we were all just feeling kind of groggy. And we were in the studio just like so sleepy, just like, but it was one of the funnest days ever. Like a lot of it mostly was just like camera setting up and hanging out. So we were just goofing off, playing covers and having maybe too good of a time, just like jamming out and annoying the actual our vinyl workers. We played Weird Fishes at one point, nice. And we're just like full jamming. We played Rolling with the Flow, Charlie Rich. We're going all over the spectrum. I think we like might have played some Deftones at some point. We had like a little, maybe even a couple hour long cover set in the middle of it while they were trying to figure out their cameras, and we were just like constantly like, oh, we should play this, and like figuring it out.
Where did that take place?
It was they have like a black box studio in East, just off Gallatin.
Oh.
And I don't know if they still do shows here, but there was an old DIY venue probably 5 years ago now called The Warehouse.
I think so.
I think the dude who owns the Underdog Cow owned it for a while, but it was back there in that like warehouse complex, yeah. I guess. But it was cool, and we just like, we had a blast, and we're just running our songs and very, very spontaneous with it. Like you hear in the like our vinyl, there's certain parts like my song Cheek Full, there's like a section where we just do like a triple guitar harmony moment where literally just came about because we decided to, in between takes, to like, we should try this right now during this take. And it was me, Chris, and Justin, and we get to that part in the song, and I'm sure you can see in the video, we look around and we're like, are we going to do it? And we all hit this like guitar harmony, like very cheesy, just like Thin Lizzy style guitar harmony. And it made the cut. Like, it's in the video, it's on the record, like that you hear on Spotify. But yeah, we were being a bit goofball-y, but it was a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That art vinyl was like such a privilege and something I'm very proud of. I think it
sounds great.
It's a cool representation of like what we're about over in the Billy world.
Yeah, dude, it's great.
Okay. It's like the news commercial break. You should put a commercial break.
I know. Yeah, like a commercial break. Yeah. Swap for detailing. Get your car detailed.
Dude, you should totally do that.
I've thought about it because I was like, it is a Nashville business.
It is, yeah.
Because there are no advertisements on any of my stuff yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, well, get the swapper. This will be the first one. New iPhone, better quality.
Swap for detailing. Swap for detailing. Get your car detailed.
Get your car detailed.
Here in Nashville.
Jordan Swafford.
Yes, sir.
Sweet.
Okay, back to you. So what would you say your strengths and weaknesses as an artist are?
My strengths, I would say I'm pretty, I feel like I'm pretty relaxed as an artist, and I think that has been helpful to me. I'm intentional, but I don't fully consider myself a perfectionist. I think that like I love when a record is indicative of a time period and of like a situation. I think that's something that is super powerful when you go back and listen to certain people's albums and you can kind of hear where they were, like hear who was on it, hear kind of the phase of life they were in. And I think that that's something that perfectionism can kind of negate at times, because you want it to just sound so pristine and clean, but you're not thinking about your surroundings or where you are, or what even phase in, just like what phase are you in ability you are. Like, I mean, my first earlier sounding stuff doesn't sound as good because I wasn't as good at writing or making songs. And the people I was making them with, like, you can hear now, like, make stuff that sound a trillion times better because you get better when you do stuff. Right. So I think that's probably my maybe biggest strength, or strength that I'm really proud of, is that I'm not super into the whole like perfectionism. I have to get it perfect because the ball's is just going to keep rolling regardless. I'd say my weakness as an artist, I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm not I'm not like the best singer, I guess, as far as like ability. I'm not like the best singer, but I also don't care, so I wouldn't consider it a weakness. I just like sing what I have to say and sing the way I talk and let it happen. But I'm not, like, my friend Joseph is an amazing singer. My friend Maddie is like one of the best voices I've ever heard. Like, I know so many people who just like have angelic, beautiful voices that I don't have. But that's not my thing, so I wouldn't really consider that a weakness. I'm trying to think. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of I don't really ever think negatively about what I do, because most of the things that could be considered negative are just like subjective or out of my control. And I don't really worry too much about my art. I just kind of try to live it and create it. So coming up with a weakness right now is kind of hard for me, because I don't really necessarily feel like anything that could be considered a weakness is that big of one. It's just like a subjective, like, okay, I'm not the best singer, I'm not the best guitar player, but art is about like expression, and it's so personal that it's like, I don't think any artist really has a weakness. Like, right. It's just about what you like and what the listener enjoys,
Yeah.
You can compare yourself all day long.
Right.
But it's you just have a different style. It's not, I mean, I don't know. Lil Wayne is not Frank Sinatra, Yeah. like Lil Wayne his weakness would be singing jazz standards, right? But Sinatra's not rapping a Millie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Weakness is hard for me. I definitely have like traits I admire from other artists. Like my friend Joseph is so like theoretically inclined, and I'm not really. So I guess I could consider that a weakness in terms of just he's really great at production, which I know nothing about. My friend Anson is like incredible production. My friend Jake Smith, wonderful producer. Like, my friend Will Cochran, like, genius songwriter. I wish I could write songs like him. Even one time, I wish I could write a song like he writes a song. But just because I don't consider it a weakness. I just think we all have different voices and different ways to express ourselves.
Yeah.
And other people's strengths just don't happen to be mine.
Sure.
But I wouldn't say it's like a weakness. Like,
no, I think it's a very good perspective to have.
Yeah.
If it's not you, then don't worry about it.
Yeah, I try I try not to. And as much as I would like love to learn about more about theory or production or even just like the English language, how to say things in certain ways that I haven't said them. Like, I also think that life kind of shows you those things, and you naturally kind of figure out who you are and what your story is and what your voice is.
Yeah.
That's not weak. That's just everybody has to figure everything out from birth.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, how long have you been in Nashville now?
I came here in 2018, I think. I went to school at Belmont, graduated from Belmont, and so I guess what's that? 6 years.
6 years. What did you study at Belmont?
I started studying guitar. I was in like the commercial guitar department. And then COVID hit, and I was like, "Why am I taking online guitar lessons?" so I switched to it. It's just like a music business major. Technically, it was called creative entertainment industry. But I just kind of wanted to do something easy so I could graduate and still learn about the industry. And please the family, and also kind of be able to take time off and like go on tour while I was still in school and be a musician and work on my art. But yeah, Belmont's cool, man. Go Rubens, as I would say. Go Bruins. Nothing really bad to say about it. I just was not a huge school person ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to drop out of elementary school, so it's like
didn't we all?
Had no hope for college, but I kept pushing.
So college is what brought you here?
Yeah.
Nice. What is something you'd say you've learned living here?
I think I feel like it's kind of an overall arching thing, but I've just really my gratitude has grown a lot since moving here, and my thankfulness. It is, I mean, growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, like it was me and my 3-4 friends at my high school who made music and created stuff and like had our little high school band, and like you couldn't play shows. Like my friend Diego's mom had a barber shop, and we would like after hours open it up and clear the floor and like play shows in the barber shop. Or like we played at like some arcade, like laser tag places, or like shoe store once. Like we would just like find places to play because we like wanted to, because we were a band, we wanted to spread the message. But like stuff in high school, like it was really encouraging coming here and being like, man, I have a community of like not only my 3-4 friends who want to create art, but like everybody here loves it, and everybody here is so talented and so inspiring, and unique. And I think that is like, I've just learned like so much gratitude. I still to this day like get overwhelmed like when I'm just hanging out with my friends. Or my friend Jake Coffer just put out an EP, and I played in his band for his EP release at the East Room. And he played a couple songs solo, and I was just standing off to the side of the stage and watching him like address the crowd. And I honestly like kind of got overwhelmed with emotion for a second, because I was just thinking about how unique it is to live in a city where everybody not even makes music, but is just so vulnerable publicly. And everybody like it's cool to be in a place where like most of us are not putting on personas. Like my friend Jake at his shows, just getting up there and like super candidly sharing himself to everybody. And that's who he is. And he's on a stage and everybody's looking at him. And we all do that. Like all my friends in my friend group, we're all artists and we all have our own projects where we have at one point or another, like stood in front of a group of people and shared ourselves like so like candidly and openly. And that's like such a unique, weird thing to think about, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, but it's something I'm grateful for because it's so cool. Like that takes like such a massive level of confidence to even just like talk to your friend about something.
Yeah.
And then like to stand up on stage and be like, this song is about like something I went through, or just like even expressing the appreciation of like, thank y'all for coming. This is something really important to me and I'm sharing it with you. I'm just like super grateful to be in a community of people who are so talented and so open and willing to share. That's like my biggest thing I've learned, I guess, is just like gratitude and appreciation. Because it's rare to like have community like that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite venue here?
I mean, I love Exit In. I love the OG Exit In. I miss the OG Exit In. I love the End, honestly. I think the End it's a classic. It's a staple. It's a fun place to play. I've only ever played it once, but it is fun to see a great Brooklyn Bowl set is so fun. And it's like the perfect size where it's like I don't know. It's just like small enough to where you still feel like encapsulated in the world of what's going on, but it's big enough to be like I'm at a rock show, like I'm at a show, you know. Yeah, I also am like love dark matter. I think people tend to like write off dark matter as like a little stinky DIY spot, but dude, I've seen some of my favorite shows at dark matter, and that's like the heart of everything, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like going to some room and hearing a great band and being super stoked on it and leaving happy.
Yeah.
That's like that's the best. That's the best for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite food or restaurant here in Nashville?
Let me think. I mean, I love the classic Mas tacos. I love Fat Belly pretzel sandwiches on Gallatin. My roommates put me on that. Amazing, probably best sandwich in Nashville for me. Love it. One of my roommates works at Roberta's in Urban Cowboy. Great pizza. Love it. Yeah, Taj Indian.
Oh God, yeah.
So good. That's like probably number one. I mean, it's unreal good. I wish I lived closer to that side of town so I could ball on it more often. But
Right.
It's so good. Yeah, lots of great places.
Awesome. What is some advice you'd give to someone who's going to move here and do art?
Show no fear. Just do it. I think people move here or like come to college. I feel like I found a lot of people, when I moved here and started, that felt like they needed to establish themselves before they started doing things. But you can't establish yourself if you don't do things.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, embarrass yourself, like, have fun, like, really dive in head first, and start making stuff, and like don't be worried about like what connections you make at first or who you're hanging with, because all of that will come if you're just being honest and true to what you want and what your message is. Be a good hang, be considerate. But yeah, I think the biggest step when like moving anywhere to pursue anything is just try. And like, I mean, like your grandma said in the book, you know, like flipping burgers is opportunity, right? So it's just like don't take anything as too big or too small. Just go for it, cut your teeth, and you'll like find yourself in a position where you're like, oh man, we're like actually making stuff and we have a community and I am stoked and I'm here. So
What if you could give yourself a piece of advice before you moved here, what would you tell yourself? Knowing all that you know now.
What would I tell myself? I would tell myself to man, I'm really like was pleased with how my introduction to Nashville went. So I'm trying to think of something that I wish I would have done. I think I would just tell myself to be intentional with people. I think, I mean, I've always tried to practice that, but I think like really caring about people and like how you affect them is something that I've really tried to grow into. And like when I first moved here, I mean, I was like a 18-year-old kid who just was like, oh, I'm moving to Nashville and make music, and like so like self-absorbed, I think. So I would just tell myself like take moments to like stop and reflect on how you affect people, and also reflect on how like what you're doing is a cool and unique thing. Like I feel like in Nashville we get so caught up in like everybody makes music and everybody does this and stuff, but it is really cool and unique and individualistic. You know, everybody has their own specific thing that they have to say and do. And yeah, I would tell myself to just be attentive to people, be open to people's messages. I feel like that's been something I've really learned and grown into since coming here. You know.
Nice. Speaking of reflection, like reflecting back on when you first started as an artist, what is one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome, and how did you get through it?
Yeah, I think a huge challenge that I really fought myself on was just like figuring out. I felt like at first I had to figure out a sound for myself, um, and I think I've kind of come around to the idea or the philosophy that you don't. Like if you just do it the way that you do it, then that is your sound. And I think like my first go around like writing songs or like creating or like recording, I mean like even like some of my earlier sounding songs, like I would sing and like try to sing in a way that was like not natural because I wanted to sound good or something, or I would write in a way that like wasn't exactly what I had to say because I thought it was what people wanted to hear. And I think that as cool as that is, and everybody has to kind of like mold themselves and figure out what they need. I wish I just knew from the jump, like, bro, whatever you can provide is good enough for art. It's not asking for you to be perfect. It's not asking for you to sound like somebody who you're not, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, just being comfortable and confident in myself and like my voice and my message would just be the big hump, because I think once anybody gets over that hump, they're just making stuff and they're creating, and everybody's
get over yourself.
Yeah, dude, you get over yourself, and then everybody's on an equal playing field, you know,
Yeah.
because it's not like this person's so much better than me. Well, they just have something different to say in a different way than you do, and yeah, everybody's art has so much value. It's just about who they are and what they're trying to tell you.
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing to learn, you know? You feel like when you start, you're just like, I mean, even I'm sure with like drumming, you're like, man, I need to sound like this guy. When I started playing guitar, I was like, man, I need to sound like Dwayne. I need to sound like Clapton. I need to sound like all these guys. And even studying it in college, I like hit a point where like, I was like, man, I just want to sound like me, you know? And I just want to, and you can't really learn that other than just like playing and creating something yourself, you know?
Right.
I mean, that's how all those guys that we love, you know, Vinny Colaiuta, like he has a sound because he's himself.
Right, because he didn't stop.
Yeah, and
He just kept going.
That's kind of the big thing.
Nice. What would you say is your biggest personal growth from last year to this year?
Biggest personal growth. I think I have regained a lot of confidence this year that I was suppressing last year. And I felt like I feel like I don't know, last year was a really like trying year for me, where I just wasn't giving myself the attention that I needed, you know, which I think is like something that I feel like when you think about giving yourself attention, it can sometimes have a negative like impact. But I think this year my biggest personal growth has just been kind of revitalizing my needs and my desires and like who I am and like what I want to be for other people, you know? And just last year I was kind of in a place where I didn't realize that I was just like giving so much to others that I hadn't taken a step back and like looked at myself and felt like, oh man, like you're kind of depleting, because it's important to just like do what you want to do and like love what you love. And that is like such a simple, dumb thing, but it is like what makes you an individual and unique. And like, I feel like we as humans can like get into a relationship or like find like a group of people or like a friendships, or even just like a, you know, like a fad, like a cultural thing that we get swept up in, you know? And remembering like who you are and what you believe, and also like challenging what you believe only for yourself is something that is super healthy and needed for you to survive, you know? Like it can feel selfish at times, but it's so important and valid to need to do that. So that's kind of been my past year is just kind of letting smoke settle and like revitalizing myself and finding like what I am and what I believe in, like what I love and what I love about the things that I love, has been super beneficial and sick. And also just like still picking away and like harvesting the fruits of like my relationships that I've maintained, and like really devoting time and energy to people who have showed me like a lot of patience and a lot of support and love, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's my big growth of the year is yeah, it is a reflection. It's really just reflecting and figuring out why the things that I feel are important are.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how can people support you as an artist?
Yeah, you can listen to my music on Spotify. You can listen to it on anywhere you stream music. It's Billy with an exclamation point at the end. You can come to a show and scream and dance and sing. I think the next like full band show that I'm playing is on the 17th of October, if this is out or if it's not. But come to the East Room. My friend Timothy and his band Orpheus putting out an album, and we're playing a show for it to celebrate, and they're awesome. And yeah, come to shows, have fun, be yourself, talk to me. Like, I think that's the biggest way to support is just like, if you see me in public, say what up and let's have a conversation, or send me messages on Instagram and let's have a conversation, or text me if you have my number. Like, I love talking to people, having a great conversation, finding out new things about people, meeting new people, creating a bigger, awesome, bodacious community, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's honestly the biggest way to support is just be my friend. Let's
Nice.
hang.
Cool.
Ask me to coffee. Whatever.
Awesome. So how do you like to consume media? Do you have like favorite YouTube videos, books, movies? We talked about movies earlier.
Yeah, love
Games.
movies, love horror movies. I'm not a gamer. My two roommates are mega gamers,
Oh,
and
really?
I actually finished. They were like, "Dude, you have to grow up and start playing video games."
You have to grow up and play video games.
and they like put me on. I played Modern Warfare 2. It was the first like campaign of a video game I had ever played. I played like last month. And it was cool. It was like a war game, you know, defending the country. Um, I like to read. I don't read that often, but I do, when I do read, I enjoy it. Yeah, I like a lot of like memoir style books. I just finished like the Dave Grohl one. I'm reading
nice.
the Loudon Wainwright, the third one right now. He's cool, great songwriter and actor. He's in Big Fish.
Who is it?
His name's Loudon. I think that's how you say it. Loudon Wainwright the third. I think
I remember Big Fish. What
he's the
character?
mayor. He's like the mayor of the weird, creepy town.
Okay.
But he's a songwriter with like great albums. If you know the Swimming song,
I'm not
or
sure.
like the Dead Skunk song, he has like some cool like just silly, fun, sweet songs. But but I'm reading that right now. I read fiction every now and then. I read poetry. I had a little Beat Generation, like Jack Kerouac phase for a while.
Nice.
I mean, I like the novels, but I really just liked his poetry a lot. He has a book of haikus that I loved. I thought were so cool. They're all just very on the nose and like funny and witty. Love movies, horror movies. I love TV. I don't watch TV that much. Me and my roommates have been watching The Simpsons. Love The Simpsons, man. It's so funny. And yeah, they got longevity with The Simpsons too. It's great.
Definitely.
Music is my big like thing I consume though. I consume music like probably all day, every day.
Do you like YouTube?
I do like YouTube.
Do you watch like a lot of music on that?
Yeah. I'm a big live YouTube video guy, watching the sets and watching the clips and all that. It's great stuff. YouTube is a vast pool of information.
It is.
And stuff. But there's some cool stuff on it for sure.
Definitely. Cool. Well, is there anything you would like to add that I might not have asked you about?
No, I think we're rocking and rolling here.
Cool. Well, here's the last question.
Cool.
What is something absurd you love or do?
Something absurd I love or do. I don't feel like anything I do is like absurd, really. I mean, I'm a big fan of sardines.
Yeah.
I eat sardines like most days. That's maybe the most absurd thing. I mean, I don't know. Like everything I do feels so normal to me. Where I just like love having fun and hanging out with my friends and driving around, classic. I mean, I'm kind of your classic Alabama guy on the surface. Like I just like drive around, got the truck, listen to a record with my friends. We'll go sit somewhere and do nothing, and I'll eat sardines. It's like me and Joseph like just finished recording a record, and I would like bring sardines over every day because I love them and they taste good, and and I'm always like, most people are outside like taking their smoke breaks and stuff. And I don't smoke or anything, but I was outside like taking my little sardines breaks, like so it wouldn't air out the whole house. Like I'm just outside eating on a can.
Yeah. Do you use crackers or do you just eat with a fork?
Dude, I love them always. Normally I'm just straight up with a fork. Sometimes I'm crackers and hot sauce. But I mean, most of the time it's just crack the can down the hatch,
Nice.
I mean, I don't know what else is a super.
Do you have a favorite brand of sardines?
The I don't know what it's called. Like the Oscars are pretty good, or it's the red packaging with the guy looking prestigious on it are great. The classic like chicken of the sea is a good one. Great branding on sardines. Have you ever like go to the store next time and just look at all the packaging? There's some
Bumblebee.
there's some beautiful packaging on sardines that
there is.
Like, man,
and they're in like little cans.
Yeah, and it's just like a nice little peel off. And what is it? Did Stuart Little sleep in a sardine can?
Maybe.
There's some like character.
I knew some. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Or it was like a Matchbox or something. But
Yeah,
I think it was a sardine can.
That
Tom and Jerry the mouse.
Did he sleep in a sardine can?
I think so. Yeah.
It was some sort of, I don't know, good vibes of sardines all around. guess that's my most absurd thing. I don't really know. I'm pretty average. What you see is what you get.
Nice.
Open book type guy.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for coming over and doing this, Billy.
Yeah, I'm stoked, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Awesome.